Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to Phil's Recap and Review. Better Call Saul, Season 3, Episode 6, Off Brand. And I like Star Wipes, too. I would compete with the video coming up soon. And I was never the drama club president or treasurer.
Did you count how many Star Wipes?
I did not count how many Star Wipes there were, but did you, Joe? Did you by chance?
I did not, but we're going to need to know if we're going to make a competing Star Wipe video.
It's very true. Very true. We're going to have to rewatch that and get a little ticker on there. Maybe we'll do a live watch of that and count all of them. But everyone, welcome to the Better Call Saul podcast this week, the day after, to talk about this episode Off Brand and also get Joe's thoughts on episode 5 as well with the Chuck and Jimmy.
Called that shit as to when that fucking illness started.
I love how in this episode we got to the point where all of that really made Chuck question what was going on with his situation in this episode and really start to maybe come to grips with this not being necessarily real. But we're not alone, Joe. We have with us some of the best people in the world, the live motherfucking chat, which will be coming in and out of here during this podcast. But if you want to get your thoughts in, you can always call us our voicemail line at 781-990-8509. Again, that's 781-990-8509. Jump into the live motherfucking chat. Email me at IGotIssuesMan or text me at that number as well. So let's get into this. And I mean, before we talk about this episode, Joe, we didn't have you last week. I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Any thoughts on last week's episode of Better Call Saul?
I thought it was great. Who didn't see that coming though, right? Especially once he said he's going to try to get me to have some sort of, Perry Mason or was it Matlock moment up here on the stand. Like he saw it coming. He saw it coming. It was like, here's your Perry Mason moment. It's coming.
It was
there it was.
It was so much like A Few Good Men too, Joe. They mentioned A Few Good Men in a couple times we're leading up to that, but it felt that way too, where Chuck was like, you want the truth? You can't handle the truth, Jimmy. Is this all you have, Kathy? Is this all you have?
No.
Nope.
No, I have more.
It was great, Joe. And I think it's the definition of having the chimp with the machine gun in that situation, because Jimmy had the power of Kim on his side too. Someone that could battle Chuck and his legal team on a legal sense, and kind of every point that the lawyer would make for a counter, Jimmy had a very good legal thought out thing. And you knew that came from Kim. So you pack that with Jimmy's charisma in that situation. It was impending doom.
Yeah, I mean, and pretty much it's the same exact thing that the doctor did with them all, and of course, Jimmy being who Jimmy is, he knows that he's been to a point, everybody knows that to a point they have been indulging this man's mental illness and not encouraging him wholeheartedly to the point of like severe intervention to get this man to go seek help.
Yeah.
The doctor proved it last season. Was it, or the first season 1?
Yep.
So I mean, it was kind of sad at one point, but you really got to see that anger, that hatred, that jealousy that he has from having to look after and basically raise his brother.
And also, I think you got the fallout from what Jimmy ultimately said to Chuck about, you're going to live alone. This is done for you. You have nothing, ultimately. Jimmy didn't hold back. All those things with different relationships we're in with people, whether they're significant others, best friends. Joe, I have to talk to you about something. No, whatever. Sometimes when we care about somebody, you let things go. You just keep letting things go because you care about the person. You don't want to break their feelings. In that moment, Jimmy dropped all of that, and Jimmy just let Chuck have the truth. Ultimately, yep. Jimmy didn't really have to go to too much dirty tricks. The dirty tricks were distracting Chuck to make Chuck feel like he was on top of his game, because when Chuck's on top of his game, the ego comes out and he's more likely to go on a rant or something. Jimmy was just setting him up for the perfect situation of that, but he didn't do anything but show him the truth. Do everything, like you said, the doctor that he eventually contacts in this episode we're going to talk about today.
When you listen to that recording, even that recording, if they played it all the way to the end, unfortunately, but if they hadn't played it all the way to the end, it would have shown Chuck's side very much, but they played that all the way to the end. Are you feeling better now? Are you fine now? Good. Can we take this shit down off the walls? Like it shows that I said what I said, to get you to calm down. You're calm now? Good. Let's do this. You better? Is that what it took? Even if I had to indulge my lie and say that, yeah, I did it and come up with some sort of story as to why for Kim, whatever, I did it. Do you feel better? Is that what you need to hear to get the shit off the wall? Like, that's what the tape said. That's, it was just as damning for Chuck as it was for Jimmy. Like, how do you open up their relationship and then say, but you can't look at it from Jimmy's point of view. You can only look at their relationship from Chuck's point of view and having to raise him and all that shit he's gotten away with over the years. Like, you can't do that. Like, frame of mind is, if that's what we're going for, if that's what we're looking at, then let's show you what his frame of mind really is.
Yeah.
And let's not sugarcoat this. We can't.
And what a great, and just the last point on last week's episode, what an incredible performance by Michael McKean, huh? That for me, even a week later, thinking about that monologue, that's still one of my favorite monologues ever on television. I don't give a shit about the moment. Michael McKean, when he lost it and had his Jack Nicholson moment,
I have to stop him. You have to stop him. Whoops. I think he just had his Matlock moment. Like,
yep.
The whole, and you can see him, he takes the phone off from in front of him. He's like,
And then
wait a second. Yeah, I thought so. Huh.
And then the way that the camera just backs away, he's just like, is there anything more, Jimmy? Anything more?
Yeah, how about you just reach into your pocket and tell me what's in there, huh? Like the fully charged freaking battery that, boom. Bam. How's that for electromagnetism? Right next to your heart, up against your skin, in your coat.
And let's kick over to the live chat. We got the retired nurse in there. We got SM. Great to see you, SM. Haven't seen you in a while, buddy. And we got Sam. We got Broke. We got Claudio. We got lots of great fans. Quixote jumping in for a second. SM, I think, Joe, are you worried about that Madden curse since your boy Brady's on the cover? We got Gloss.
They got to do whatever they got to do. The haters got to do whatever the haters got to do to get the picture. I don't want to get dolls out there with needles stuck in it with Tom Brady's room pubic hairs as its mustache.
No, you're saying it's a conspiracy theory. You got to get Jimmy that they hired someone to put Brady on the Madden curse just to try to give a
to get the Brady out. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they got to do whatever they got to do. They got to throw Deflategate. They got to throw the Spygate. They got to throw, what's his name's wife's feet at him. Whatever they got to do to get these guys to lose, they got to do, including putting them on. I get it. You need whatever you need. You got to do what you got to do. You can't stop the Brady. The BB.
I get it. And you can't stop the Saul Goodman from eventually showing up either. And we see Saul Goodman in this episode officially. We hear the name, we hear the words, Saul fucking Goodman.
He calls himself Saul Goodman again, but I still do not believe that he is. This is still not the unveiling of Saul Goodman.
No, this is the name and the personality. This is where we're going to see that he's going to eventually calculate that name makes more money than Jimmy McGill. And it's a different personality. And he's going to say, I can't be that laid back. I can't be a lawyer you can trust anymore. I'm going to be Saul Goodman, the hype guy, the crazy guy.
Here's the thing. His brother's a genius lawyer, right? And has this huge name and huge reputation that took a hit with the whole Mesa Verde shit, and now takes another hit at this bar meeting on testimony as basically being, whether they decide it's PTSD or with psychosis or just psychotic or, some sort of mental illness past or anxiety disorder with psychosis, something. I don't know exactly what they're going to give him, what they're going to say is wrong with him, but as far as there shouldn't be these stigmas on people in life and in the world who have mental illness, there are people who feel this way and who will put that kind of, shame, or I don't know if we could trust Jimmy McGill because Jimmy McGill is Chucky McGill's brother and Chuck went crazy. So, maybe Jimmy might be crazy too. So there is and might be a sense and a need for him to change his name, especially who knows what happens between Wexler McGill when Wexler leaves him, when there's some sort of split up there, maybe it sullies the name even more.
Joe, I don't know if you've noticed in this episode, and it's pretty obvious, she's already starting to kind of try to put her feet out the door in a lot of situations. Yes, she cares about Jimmy. Yes, she wanted to defend him.
We need a different office. We don't need your side anymore.
We don't need your side. Also, there was a little subtle thing at the end where she shows up and goes, "Oh, you're staying in your own bed tonight." And she said, "Yeah, you've been gone for 3 nights or something." And she goes, "Yeah, I need clothes." So she hasn't been staying at their place either. She's already, even if she doesn't know it in her mind, her body is subliminally separating her from Jimmy in different ways.
Right. Because she says, we have all I need her to do is some filing and some this. Well, if that's all you needed the secretary to do, then, but you haven't spent the last 3 nights at home, then you're not exactly telling the truth there. You're doing far more work than you need to do. You could be putting some of this on her, who's just sitting out there filing her nails, and you're not, because you need to keep yourself distracted to keep yourself away from Jimmy for the next few days. You're so furious over the not letting you defend him and the shit that he did to get you Vesa Merde, and just the fact that they share an office and they're kind of law partners puts her license at risk too over that.
I love how you backwards that. You Vesa Merde it instead of Mesa Verde. Like, because I just let's strike. You needed a Willy Wonka. Strike that. Reverse it. Let's jump to the live chat for a second here. Retired nurse says sometimes that's what you have to do when if the person's reality is in the land of Oz. You sometimes have to go to Oz to get them out. Otherwise, they will pay no attention to you. We get the golden snitch. Quixote in the live chat. SM. Brown sugar. So can he practice law as Saul Goodman to bypass the 12? No, he can't. And Sam said no, he can't. He, at least legally, he couldn't do that. You'd have to create that complete different identity, get a new social security card, get a new birth certificate, go to school as Saul Goodman for all those years, or at least fake it, then go past the bar again, or have someone that looks. Speaking of the Saul Goodman character in this episode, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but he looked a lot like Vince Gilligan. So Iron's in the live chat too. SM says, when are you going to do some Game of Thrones shows? I mean, recaps and predictions and shows coming up right after I get back from vacation. We're going to be doing a lot of more Game of Thrones stuff. Sam says,
we still got what, like 8 weeks or some crap.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that.
8 weeks away for only 8 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
Sam says, but knowing Jimmy Saul in the Breaking Bad universe, they could try pulling that sort of stuff in the show. It doesn't necessarily need to follow legal logic. I still think Jimmy's going to have a 12-month break. It's about after that 12 months, does he go back to practicing law as Saul Goodman, or does he go as Jimmy McGill? And
it depends on what he does to try to keep up what he ends up continuing to do to keep his side of the rent. Does he work for the entire 12? Does he figure like, holy shit, I've gotten more calls than I thought doing this commercial scheme? Then
he's doing the commercial scheme, Joe, and he's also going to be working with Mike. He's going to be doing shit with Mike, making real money. And that's going to be influencing him on that other side and bringing to me, the true Saul Goodman that we've gotten this season is in every scene he's alone with Mike in the coffee shop, talking to Mike. That's Saul's personality. That is what brings it out of him. And I think by doing that every day, he's just going to become that criminal attorney, and it's just going to happen. And that being said, it seems to be, and I like how they're doing this because it's sometimes subtle, sometimes really with a firm hand, but it's whatever it is, it's good. The way that Breaking Bad is taking over this show.
Well, those two characters in general, like what you see is Mike, who was a cop for so long and now is retired and moved out of his home state, and he's indulging in things that are not necessarily legal, but not necessarily amoral or amoral either. So it's a fine balance of him kind of moving more towards the center of the good bad spectrum, and then Jimmy, who most of his life has been, from what we know, running small time scams and doing bad things, who then straightened out, became a lawyer, and is now settling back in more towards the center of things as well. So it's a great the journeys are opposite, but landing in the same spot at this moment. It's a nice contrast, or I don't know exactly what to call that.
a contrast. No, it's very good.
Parallel, yeah.
Sam says you don't need to do that, Phil. He doesn't need to go to school as Saul. He just needs to report a name change to the Bar Association. So after 12 months, that's all he would need to do. Brooke says, aren't we supposed to be blaming Phil for the delay of Game of Thrones? Yeah, because I'm getting married. I told Dan and Dave to push off Game of Thrones. So
they knew they didn't want to disrupt.
They didn't want to mess with us. They didn't want to mess with us, Joe. SM says, look at the bright sides. Next season is the last one, so they need them to stretch 2 seasons as much as possible. Is this where we're going to get Cinnabon? Jimmy's going to start. I think I'm not sure if we're going to get back to Cinnabon Jimmy till the end of the season, if not the beginning of next. But it might be where that it starts to head into that direction.
Wouldn't it be great if Saul Goodman was the owner of the Cinnabon that he actually is working at as a grunt?
I want more Cinnabon Saul, though.
Like on paper, like he's the owner, but he's working there as like, undercover boss kind of.
Jimmy looks the same. I wonder if anyone noticed. I'm going to Dominican Republic, SM. Fuck, I'm so impatient to find out what happens with all of Jimmy's relationships as Penny Lane. Yes, SM, I am. Chuck will probably not bother with Saul. His family won't continue to be sullied. Oh, in Game of Thrones, I'm going to start rewatching Game of Thrones, says Sam. Yeah, I'll start talking about that stuff at the end of the show, the 28th, Sam. So let's continue into this because we haven't even talked about the star of this episode, Joe. We're a little bit into this, and it's talking about last episode into this episode, the Jimmy and Chuck stuff continued and kind of closed off in this episode, at least separated points, and we're starting to kind of, in a way, this episode was another pilot for the back half of the season.
Yeah,
I think. Or a first episode of the back half of the season. We reached that peak in the last, and I talked about this in the last podcast, almost like last season with Game of Thrones with Home, and then we reached another peak at the end with Battle of the Bastards and Winds of Winter in the final episode of the season. I think that's what we're heading on, a similar kind of arc with Better Call Saul. This seemed to be the first episode of another arc. And
yes, because there was this big build up to this hearing. Not just what we had before this hearing with the prosecutor giving him his sentence, but or plea bargain, but this was like everything that built up from last season culminates with this episode. That whole scheme about changing the numbers, getting Mesa Verde on Kim's, client list, and covering his tracks, and Chuck hunting him down. That whole big storyline ended with this. So, doesn't end with this, but that was pretty much the ending. His license is safe for, the exception of the suspension for a year. So you're absolutely right. That's a big arc that finishes off. That was a peak, a high point, and it's the mid-season, so to speak. So it's a nice, now we get into what's going to drive the rest of the season. How is Jimmy going to fit in with the Mike and drug cartel thing that's going on here?
The highlight of this second half of the season is how does Hector end up in the wheelchair?
Hector ending up in the wheelchair.
Because Nacho is the star of this episode. I mean, talked around this. I just want to get this part over. This is Nacho's episode. This is the biggest episode he's had as a character. He's the central focus of this episode. We've gotten to get to Game of Thrones terms again. We have another point of view character, and it is Nacho now. And
I forgot to mention that. I love that Maurice introduction last week too.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Is that his name, right? Maurice, is that his name?
What's his character? Huel.
Yeah, Huel, and he's like, does he need to fit into tight spaces? I don't think so. I know just the man. And like they're gonna be good friends now for a long time working together. It's fucking awesome. That's awesome.
Max, great to see you in the live chat. Nacho's story is getting interesting right now.
Yeah, back to Nacho, sorry.
Yes, to answer your question, Joe is best man. He's got to do a speech, he's got his duties and all that sort of shit. Yeah. So and we'll try to get some images of Joe in his tux, some backstage footage, and some streaming when we can. I'll talk more about that at the end of the podcast.
It's really just a sock with a bow tie.
Yeah, really.
It's that kind of wedding.
It is. It's gonna be one of those hippie naked weddings with Okay, so no one wants to hear about that shit. So then we also, in this episode, we get more Breaking Bad, catching up to more places. We see Crazy 8 again in this episode, getting his ass kicked. We see Lydia and the beginning of the Madrigal interaction with Gus in the building of the meth lab that eventually is going to be Walt's meth lab in this episode.
Oh, fantastic.
We see Mike getting more manipulated again to potentially build the playground that he has to run away from and leave Kaylee at when he's running away from the feds, and eventually leads to his death with Walter. So, I mean, we see someone drinking a $5,000 bottle of scotch in this episode. And Jimmy really made Chuck ask him some tough questions. I think this was another great episode of Better Call Saul. Was it as big as the last two? No, but I think, again, we reached those two peaks, this peak of this point, and we're heading downhill for whatever the end of the finale is of this particular season. So let's not waste any more time, Joe. Let's get into this motherfucker. Let's do it. And everyone, it's time for the recap. I love you, Jimmy. Analysis. Yes, we're hitting Foxwoods this Friday and Saturday evening. I will be at Foxwoods. Joe possibly will be there Saturday evening.
Oh, yeah.
Recap! Saul thinks Ignacio sent them after him. And we obviously know, and I also think we might have, I'm reading... I don't have my computer to take notes. I just got a power cord for it, so I wasn't able to take my own notes in this episode. I will say that I'm using the EW article to kind of read off of for notes, and I also at the bottom of this have the Den of Geeks article that has all the Easter egg for this particular episode from Breaking Bad. So we're gonna go over all of this shit. So Ignacio is Nacho, who has a connection to Jesse, I believe, because Jesse at one point in time says, my friend Ignacio, Saul got him off a bunch of times. So that's where I think somehow, if we're to meet Jesse, it's going to come through Nacho. So we'll see about that. So here we go. Let's continue. Oh, yes, and I think when Saul, did Ignacio send you?
No, I think we're going to see Jesse walk into Nacho's little room there at some point with one of his little drug dealing buddies.
There's and I was mentioning the Den of Geeks article because one of the Easter eggs that they speculate there might have been a reference to Jesse in this episode where Crazy 8 says one of his new guys is this kid is fucking up with money or lost all his money, had a problem with the cops or something. There is a speculation that reference was talking about Jesse.
Of course it is. Anything like that is talking about it.
Of course it is. There's literally no chance it isn't. So we open up the episode on coffee. We see Nacho taking meetings while Don Hector just kind of sits there at his table sipping coffee. One dude comes in, drops a bag of money on the table, and they depart. And it's all normal. This guy has the right amount of money, and it seems like there's a lot of tension in this scene, but then one guy comes in and he comes in and he's a little short on the money. And he starts already talking shit, explaining the money thing when you're short on money when you start talking about, oh, hey, how's your day? How's it going, buddy? Remember that we're really good friends. And
it's best to come straight out and say it.
Yeah, it really is. When you owe somebody money in that situation, it's best just to say, listen, I'm short, I'll get you next time, whatever. So Nacho, again, right from his perspective, we see him counting everything and he's just like, shh, let me count. And this guy explains the situation, explains that he has a new kid, yada, yada, yada. And Nacho's like, okay, it's fine, just go, pay me next time, it's fine, whatever. And Hector isn't having a minute of that. He just starts making fun of him, says, who works for who? And Nacho gets it and chases after him, drags him in, and starts beating the shit out of him. And it's the counterpoint just has Hector sitting there like it's all normal life, like drinking his coffee, never budging from one perspective. And then we have, after that, we see a couple hours later, Nacho. The way they have this grouped is just by storyline, so it might not be in chronological order here. So Nacho can't quite keep focus. He has his father's shop, and he runs a piece of leather through his sewing machine, and he pauses, and we look down, he stitches his own hand, and he's just sitting there with like the dead stare. So Joe, even at this point, you think Nacho's starting to have some major, obvious comment of the week. he's having major reservations about Hector's.
He was already not doing things that he should have been doing, right?
Yeah.
He was already feeling this way. He already didn't want to be working for this guy. This guy doesn't do things the right way. He's more sadistic than he is businesslike. It's a sick. He wants to see people get hurt. He wants people to get hurt. He doesn't care about the money. He wants the power.
Yeah. Excellent point. Randall Webb says, what's interesting to me is that there's definite parallels to Hector's underestimation of Gus and Chuck's underestimation of Jimmy. Very, very good. I definitely, and I think what I wonder is it's slightly different in the way that I think Hector fears the organizational skills and all the abilities of Gus, where I guess Chuck does fear something in Jimmy, but it's not like, no, I guess it might be the same thing, because Hector probably thinks the way that this guy flaunts the chicken company and is trying to live in both worlds and isn't being a true gangster and a true cartel guy. He's insulting our code by doing blah, 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 blah. So I got to bring him down. I got to fuck with this guy in the same way that Chuck feels like Jimmy's fucking with the law, something he loves and has to fuck with him. So that's
here's the problem too with what Hector is. Hector is okay. So Hector basically, he is needling at Gus, and I think Hector realized that he was kind of played a little bit by Gus in getting, maybe not that it was Gus that had anything to do with his truck getting seized or anything like that, but he wants Gus to make sure that Gus knows that even though I need you now for your trucks, and that's obvious and apparent that I need you, that's why I basically forced my way onto it, I'm also going to make sure you know that I can do whatever I want to you. And I don't think Gus realized that was going to be one of Hector's next plays either, and that really kind of needled at him. It threw him off, and I think that's what Hector wants, to keep Gus on his feet a little bit. He wants him to try to make a mistake, but what Hector doesn't realize is owning and using that upholstery business as this big drug smuggling thing. Like, yeah, they need leather shipped, and it's probably cheap to get leather from Mexico or dye from there, this and that, or dyed leathers, but it's not as frequent and as often as a safe chicken restaurant who has trucks going back and forth, daily consumption. This is who gets their fucking cars reupholstered? Like, how big is that business? It's big enough for like this guy to maybe own like that area, but he doesn't have a chain of these things, across the Midwest or down south or anywhere the fuck else for that matter, where trucks need to really be going back and forth across the border. There's big distributors that he's getting his fucking leathers from and shit, like, and supplies from. He's not like running his own shit and trucks across the border. But he's like, what the fuck is Hector like, point that out to Hector. Don't just say my dad's not in the business. Say, dude, we don't have trucks that are running shipments back and forth from Mexico. What's wrong with you, Hector?
I think Hector's an idiot or just a forceful asshole.
Both,
and also
in a manner.
And just to go to Claudio's question point in the live chat, do you think that Hector thinks Gus is just a pussy?
He thinks he's not necessarily a pussy, but he knows he's gay, and I think he doesn't like him because of that. Whatever, old world looks or views he has towards that kind of thing. Like, if he had his way, I think he would kill Gus and try to take over any part of business operation that he had a hand in. No doubt. He's that kind of person. Gus is protected, though, by, Avi down there in South America.
Now, Randall asks, we see that by Gus not even caring about the Hector Nacho taking the extra drugs, we see Gus looking at the future site of the mega meth factory. So he's just thinking small potatoes right now.
Right, because he the big picture for him is, I'm not going to need to smuggle drugs soon enough. I'm just going to make my own on this side of the fucking border, and the bosses will be happy as long as those bags keep coming, and they don't have to manufacture it or ship it over the border and take those losses every now and then. They'll be fine with it as long as those bags keep coming, stacks keep coming, and they'll get bigger this way because you don't have to pay a fucking anybody to run that shit over the border or the losses or any of that kind of like. Yeah, no, perfect, great. Gus, even more protection, like wonderful. Once Hector ends up in that fucking wheelchair, even more wonderful for Gus.
Randall adds, and to have Lydia with him, which is part of Madrigal, shows that Gus is thinking global. Hector is still just thinking between U.S. and Mexico.
Right.
So, okay. So then after this point, Nacho can't really display any emotion. He pulls the needle out. Then we see Chuck's meltdown from the witness stand, the fallout from that at the disciplinary hearing. Now, the verdict is we see Kim giving a very speech and a very good description about how she feels or not how she feels. It's just a very good summation of her case there about how Jimmy works with old people. He helps them with wills. He's someone that cares about his clients, and almost to connect to the whole case with Chuck to show that Jimmy is someone that cares, someone that has feelings, has emotions. What he did with his brother showed the same thing. And then within that, Jimmy did break into his brother's house out of care and concern. He did record that tape, but about destroying evidence, that he went in there and destroyed the tape. He didn't destroy the tape. They have another tape. Look, the tape's fine. Exactly. Evidence wasn't destroyed. He made a copy. No evidence.
That's why they want it. It's not evidence. It's property. There is still the evidence. The evidence is still right there on a different version. It's just property.
Yep. Exactly, which is what we connects to that and why that stuff was important. Awesome. And ultimately, it ends up being that a lot of Jimmy's clients come to give testimonials for him or whatever. They're all here to support Jimmy. Jimmy cared. And Saul is sitting there like, yeah, I care. Yeah, look at Kim go. What the fuck? She must really want to have sex with me again. She loves me. She loves me. She loves me. And no, she's just a really good lawyer, Jimmy. And ultimately, all of that, Kim cares for the clients. Jimmy gets 12 months. We cut quickly to her and Jimmy toasting and popping a bottle of champagne. It's a hard-earned moment. It doesn't last much. They're kind of toasting, going back and forth. She goes, what are you going to do with your time, with your 12 months? He's like, I don't want to worry about that's future me's problem. Tonight, I want to worry about your feet hanging over me and rubbing them and us drinking and having a good time. And she just kind of giggles him off. Whatever, Jimmy. Okay, whatever. So right at that point, there's a knock on the door. Now, I've been hinting at this a little bit, Joe, and I keep saying it almost redundantly over and over again. I don't think Kim has any interest in Jimmy from a romantic standpoint anymore. Do you think I'm wrong, or are you kind of feeling the same thing, that she is done with Jimmy?
Well, at the end of this episode, she's still at the house, right?
Mm-hmm, she is.
I think she's feeling the wind. She's feeling close to him again. She ultimately was able to help him, and they worked together well. And Jimmy is still willing to get the money to do what he has to do to make this work. You know, I think she was just pissed, and I think she's just kind of letting Jimmy know how pissed. I don't think this is going to be what does it, but she's on the edge. You know, she's on thin ice. He's on thin ice, and she's, you know, don't push her because she's close to that edge.
Speaking of someone that I don't even have a way of connecting this. Speaking of someone who's always on the edge, we have a voicemail from our awesome Better Call Saul contributor to the show. I almost consider him part of the show, Joe, because it's always a Better Call Saul cast with this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Here we go. We got a message from the one and only Big fucking J. So here's Big J.
Hey Phil, what's up, my brother? I'm leaving you a voicemail. I know you've. I'm out with Rick, and my phone's probably gonna die. So, yeah, I really love this episode. Even though I'm struggling with a sinus infection right now, we finally got to Saul.
Hope you feel better, my friend.
And I like the way they did it. Everybody was expecting a lawyer thing, but you know what? That was cool the way they did it. It was a little scattered, this show. It was all over the place. I mean, basically Breaking Bad is in full effect.
Yeah.
With Gus's chick there at the end, you know? His girl there, he was girl drug dealer partner, whatever she was. I remember her from Breaking Bad, so.
Yeah, like, well,
good, man. But
what was that, Joe? How many we have the secretary, we have Hugh, we have Saul, we have Mike, we have Gus, we have Nacho, we have the other guy, the Crazy Eight, and
Tuco.
and Jesus, like that's at least 8 we mentioned right there.
Yep, and now Lydia.
Lydia, 9.
Yep, and Gus, if you consider Gus.
I said Gus. I do consider Gus, just like I said Mike and Saul.
Great. So let's listen to the end of Big J's message.
They're all there.
Got it.
Hector.
Yeah, I gotta watch these episodes like twice, man.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the lawyer, the one from the week before, chicanery. I enjoyed that so much more watching it. Like the third time, the acting really kicked in. So for me, these shows, they got too much going on, man. Like that part with the drunk. Are you okay to drive? You know something's gonna happen to Howard now with the drinking, man. He's probably gonna get arrested.
Ooh.
And all right, buddy. I'll try to call you back, man. Take care.
Really?
Lots of love.
That would leave Howard McGill in ruin, because there's no mention of Howard McGill throughout all of Breaking Bad, right? So, like something like that, a scandal where Howard goes down too. Now that would leave that firm basically without its 2 figureheads. Basically, all the other lawyers would probably be like, "Fuck it, we're out of here. Why would we stay for this?" Clients would be fleeing. One's crazy and one's a drunk who's driving around almost killing people, or maybe he does kill someone. Maybe he gets into his horrible freaking.
But Big J's right.
Maybe he kills Kim.
Ooh, Joe, now you're thinking of a different show. But I could definitely see Howard getting an accent. There is a reason why they put that line, "You okay to drive?" in there. It's just a subtle line. Maybe nothing might come from that, but that's a definite good pickup. And Big J is right. You do need to watch these episodes a couple of times to catch everything. And that's why I always feel, or on Tuesday when we come out here and have a couple of days to maybe watch the episode more than once, you can always pick up more things. Watching it the first time, I'm just blown away. And I'm trying not to talk about this today because it's old hand now. Yes, there was a fucking incredible sewing machine shot. Every single image that they put on camera, I fucking love. Another amazing montage with exceptional editing. There's only so much we can say that shit. It's
right. It's over and over again, week after week. There's brilliance in their camera work. There's brilliance in their musical score. There's brilliance in the writing and the acting. It's the entire whole package. For network cable to have a show like this is very special. It really, really is. And so far, there's no. Our main character hasn't made that turn like Walt did, where you start to not care for him anymore, not on his side anymore. You're still on Saul's side after the 3rd season here, and they still have you in the pocket, you know.
And that's a good point for where we're at in the episode. So Rebecca comes in and kind of poo-poos on their party here. And she ultimately says, "Listen, he's your brother. You know, you have to stand by him." And he's like, "No, not anymore." And then she turns us around and says, "Chuck was right about you," which Jimmy at that point in time could have just said, "Do you even realize all the shit he's done to me my whole fucking life?" And just list all the fucking ways.
That's not the way he could have, yes, but that's not Jimmy, and that's not what he brought her there. And he says right then and there, "I brought you here. I told you he was coming after me. I told you I had to defend myself. I told you there were going to be things that were going to be ugly that you didn't want to hear. I told you all this before you came. You came. You saw it. You heard it. You know what happened. Right now, I cannot be around Jimmy. Right now, that is a dangerous place for him to be, for him to keep himself safe, for him to keep Chuck safe. There's no better thing for him to do than to actually stay away from him. I cannot be there for him right now. I am part of what is wrong with Jimmy, with Chuck at the moment." So
plus I'll choke a Chuck out.
Right, exactly. I'm still furious at him as well. Like, this isn't just about what I did to him or what he did to me. It's what he did to Kim, what he done to every step of the way.
To our family.
Our family, right? Yes.
JC says, "This episode just became available today in my region, and I haven't seen it. Otherwise, I'd be listening to you guys. Great reviews. Awesome to see you in the live chat. And whenever you listen to this, hey, JC Blako." Randall says, "Oh, I love the Rebecca stuff." SM asks, "Is this show better or worse than Breaking Bad?" I could see, depending on your taste of a television program, someone saying both. I know, for instance, Stephanie, after the last 2 episodes, said to me, "Okay, it's over. I like this show better than Breaking Bad." but I'll always like Breaking Bad better, and I think that's because of Walt and Jesse, because the two characters of Walt and Jesse I think are the best characters in this universe.
I'm gonna reserve judgment on that, because there was for the first few seasons I really loved. There was nothing better than Breaking Bad on television at the time, as far as I was concerned. And I don't know, like season 4-ish, 3-ish, 4-ish, somewhere in there. That's when I started to, back off a bit. One of this whole seasons went by before I even watched it. So I'm going to reserve judgment, because I want to see how this rounds off. But I might be with Stephanie on that this might be a better show. But as far as this point, both of their runs, if like took from halfway through season 3 on each show, I'd say they're neck and neck. There's no one's better than the other.
This could be a different podcast we'll have to do later when both shows are done. When both shows are done, we'll come from both perspectives, and we'll see. We'll try to get a couple people that have watched them all and kind of look at them, then maybe do a Breaking Bad rewatch with Joe and I, and then come do a review of both series. It'd be a good opportunity when Saul's done to kind of get back into it. It's hard not to be a victim of the moment and just follow this team as they grow and are better filmmakers at the point that Better Call Saul is being made, to the point where Breaking Bad was happening.
Film than television, as
that's why I keep calling it. That's why I keep calling
it. It really is. It's a 10-hour story. It's not episodic television. Or Randall,
the best answer that I've heard so far to this.
I was about to. Which one?
It's like asking which is better, Godfather 1 or 2. And
right, they're the same movie. It's one movie. It's just continued. It's like we couldn't make you go like to a movie for 6 hours, so here's the second one. But Randall says something else too about that defeating of Chuck there was the moment he becomes Saul Goodman, and it's kind of a good point. It's kind of like maybe he does finally say to himself, I'm better than McGill. Chuck McGill was the best, but Saul Goodman's better.
Yeah,
but it's not. He has kept Saul Goodman away from his lawyering. Like it's an alias to kind of scam a contract. It's an alias when he's scamming, guys in an alley at a bar to get them to like give their wallets over and shit. It's an alias for him to do bad stuff. It's just a name, but Kim, she might push it to be more than just, if he makes good money at this TV shit with he does more than just break even or does something else. Like,
and Claudio says, I think, to verbalize the last point, I like Breaking Bad better, but this show shows more filmmaking and craft maturity.
I think so too.
And Max says, I totally feel empathy for Chuck. He is sick. I mean, I understand what he feels about Jimmy in such a way.
But he's felt this way about Jimmy for a long time. He's felt this way about Jimmy.
They were kids.
He took a shit in someone's sunroof. It sickened him.
Joe,
to get on a plane and go.
Always with his hand in his register. Never Jimmy. Never Jimmy.
Right. Yeah, right. Dad lost his business because Jimmy was stealing from the till. No, it wasn't Jimmy stealing from the till. Well, it had to be something else is going on. Someone's stealing off the shelf or something. No, it's Jimmy stealing from the till. Jimmy shitting in sunroof. It sickened him to have to go defend his brother to do that, over shitting in someone's sunroof. All that lawyer genius on a frickin' exposure charge in downtown for his drunk fucking brother exposing himself and somebody's freaking on the sidewalk, like
pooping in
right.
Sunroof.
Giving him a squat cobbler.
Someone's gonna say, correct us in the live chat. I think it was something called like a Tennessee sunroof or something.
Yeah.
Chicago sunroof or something.
Chicago sunroof.
It wasn't the squat cobbler.
Like his whole life he's been sickened by his brother, by the fact that his brother's been able to get away with a lot of that shit, that he's actually kind of helped his brother get away with a lot of that shit. And now he wants, now that he's shining now that his brother's shining and he's locked up in his house and not able to work right, not able to be out there amongst everybody and feel that, he's very jealous. He's very, very upset at it.
Yeah,
Saul's been a little jealous of his brother. Now it's boiled over. It's sad. It's very sad because he's sick on top of it, and it compounds. It compounds it all because I think it's a PTSD issue. It started right after his wife left him. It's it's akin to almost agoraphobia. Like, I can't go out there because that out there is where all the electricity is. I can't have anybody out there come in here because they bring that electricity with them. So if I make it uncomfortable for them, if I make them have to leave their shit out in the mailbox, if I make them have to do all these hoops and dances at the courthouse or at the lawyer, office, then I don't have to be invited there. They won't want to come to my house. I can be alone. I can be miserable, and I can, that's what he's doing. That's the manifestation of this pain that he's feeling. It's through that anxiety, I think, of having to deal with people. Because if the person he loved most in the world, that supposedly loved him most in the world, has got up and left and abandoned him, what has he done wrong? What did he do that got that the person closest to him in the world, the only person he could trust, got up and walked out? Then anybody else is going to hurt him too. Anybody that comes to his house, anybody at that office, anybody at that courthouse, anybody out at the market, like, he has to hide behind a silver sheet underneath his clothes and hood to go out and find a phone to make a phone call, for crying out loud. It's very sad. It's very, very sad.
It is. And to go into the live chat, that's why Jimmy's answer to Rebecca is a callous about Chuck. He's done. Chuck is dead to me. Is that good? Randall says the kind-hearted family first man has been crushed and destroyed by Chuck's continual lies and attempts to keep Jimmy down. And yes. Max says, absolutely, Joe. Jealousy is probably the strongest feeling inside of Chuck. But Chuck seems to be self-medicating himself by holding a battery, says Broke. And hey, Broke, sorry, talking about Flash. Dirty Locks analysis mode is spot on today. Yes, bam. And Chuck is training to screw Jimmy over in some other way since sympathy no longer works.
He called the doc.
You think he's given up? You think he's defeat, waving the white flag?
The doctor he called, I believe, is the doctor that ran the original, like, put the phone in the bed next to him and was like, my phone's been in this room on this whole time, up against your skin, next to your leg. You didn't notice. You're sick in other ways. I believe that's the doctor he called. I think he's going to go seek help. I think it wasn't just pointed out to the courtroom. I think it was finally in a way, where he sees it coming. He sees it. He's sitting on that stand in the previous episode, and he says straight up, he brought my ex-wife here because he thinks it's going to get me to throw off my game. He thinks it's going to get some big Matlock moment surprise out of shit, but I know what's going on, so he won't be able to do it to me. And it still happens to him. And that sickens him just as much. He was beat by Jimmy on the stand, his cockiness. Howard said to him, don't do it. We have so many other ways to get him. You do not have to put yourself in that situation.
His own game. He beat him at his own game. And he beat him in a way that I know I'm going to do that. Joe,
he can't come back from.
Joe, I'm going to drive left. I'm going to drive left. I'm telling you, Joe, I'm driving left right here. And I still drive left and beat you.
Right. He's like, look at, that's your card. That's your card. I thought this was your card. Like, it's right in front of us. He's doing it right in front of him. The trick is right there. Like, as soon as he got bumped into on the stairs, of course we all know who Hugh is and everything, but like, whenever anybody bumps me, I check almost every pocket on my body, like, is something missing? And then, like, I'll usually find something that I forgot I had, but, like, I check every pocket. Chuck is so, like, focused.
He's rehearsing his fear for Jimmy. That's all I can think about at that moment. How can I care about my brother. I respect my brother. I'm blah, 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 my brother.
He's trying to run the con. He's rehearsing the con. He wants this panel on his side before he gets picked up to go. He's at home rehearsing. How am I going to deliver these particular lines? Like they would, like a lawyer would do with any witness on the stand. He's going over the testimony, going over the testimony, and the trick is happening. Like, it's all been set up. He's done, and it's something that he's not going to be able to come back from. He might be able to go get himself help and get better and beat his illness, or be able to be treated for his illness and get better. And he might not be alone. This might be the thing that drives her back to him. But and maybe he moves out of state, and that's why we never see or hear from him again. But ultimately, his law office and his law practice in this state is pretty much done now. With Mesa Verde leaving him, whether he switched the numbers or Jimmy switched the numbers, or no matter what, he's been proven to be mentally ill on the stand. And anybody that knows that, or anybody that's disclosed to, is going to want a different lawyer. It's not, and they're going to, and unfortunate as it is, they're probably going to look at Howard in the same way. Like, this your business partner, your only other lawyer in this firm, the magician of it all, of all the lawyering, you're the face, but he's the brains, is gone. It's going to be a huge blow to that law firm. He's gone. He didn't just take down his brother. I think he really he chopped Howard out, and Howard knows it too. Howard knows that this is.
That's why Howard was trying not to get Chuck to even go on the stand. He knew, he was prophetic about that a little bit. He knew what was going to happen. He's trying to stop it before it happened. Max says it's also realistic that Chuck didn't notice Huell's move, since he has locked himself in the house for how long?
Right.
Randall,
and it was a great move too, because he handed him the newspaper at the same time as putting the battery in his pocket. Yep. So it gave Chuck something immediately to do with his hands. Why am I holding this newspaper all of a sudden? Here, take your newspaper back. Why, and gets him to think about something else immediately rather than anything else that was being touched on his body. So it was a great move. It wasn't just like, I'm going to touch you and put it in there. It was, I'm going to touch you, put the battery in there, and, hand you a newspaper to further confuse your senses and your reality at the moment. It was brilliant.
Excellent move. He's an artist, as Saul will say later. Randall says, this is what's so great about the writing. I ask you guys the question: is Chuck getting better for his own sake to move on with his life, or as a means to position himself to take down Jimmy?
I think at the moment it's to better himself in his own life. And I think that he's a smart enough man. And I think he's big enough to understand that it's not going to be worth it to take down Jimmy. That's not, I do believe there is a large part of him, as jealous as he is, as much as he may dislike and have a distaste and doesn't like his brother, he still does love him. He's still not going to, I'll take away his means to make $100 million or over his lifetime, or make $1 million a year, $100,000 a year, but I don't want him in jail. I don't want him, dead. I don't want him hurt. I don't want his legs broken. He's still my brother. I still love him. That's what Chuck is thinking, but I don't think he wants to I don't think he's going to want to take him down. I think he's going to want to get better. I think he sees it now. He's seeing it. This is the second time that same, there's a battery up against you stunt was pulled on him in front of a bunch of people. For him to deny it now, still at this point, is beyond his sense of logic and reason. And
yeah, he's too smart. He's too smart. He senses that some shit's wrong in that situation.
Right.
So our next scene that we have is we can quickly just talk about this. Mike with his daughter-in-law in a support group. She's talking about how Kaylee wants to know more about her dad, and Mike's just sitting there watching and listening. She thanks him when they get outside, and he asks him if he'll come again. He's like, I don't know about that. But she's like, what, I volunteered you to build a playground. And he's like, what? He says, that's not really my thing. And she goes, no, you know how to build stuff. Remember when you built that thing for your son? And he goes, no. And she goes, no, he told me about it. He told me you could build anything. You were awesome. You were great. And that you had that much of a connection and love with your son. And I just want you to pass that on. It just plays to Mike's. She is basically
she's doing a lot of play on Mike. She shot up her own house, didn't she? It wasn't that one of these episodes?
Yeah, she basically got into a better place and kind of forced him more into the criminal lifestyle because she wanted to get paid. Which probably,
I'm going to need more money from you, Pops.
He continues to work for Saul, probably. I mean, not for Saul and for Gus along, probably to keep supporting her. So her manipulation of him equals his death.
Well, it's these things that are happening here that really make me feel like she knew exactly what her husband was up to.
Right. You said that at the time too. And that is an interesting theory that she was culpable, and now she's playing just like she was playing him, she's playing Mike now too, to kind of break outside the norm to keep.
Yep. Absolutely is what I believe. That's absolutely what I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think she knows exactly what she's doing. I think she knows that this guy doesn't have that much money. Or if he does, it's money that he earned illegally with Mike's help, and my husband's dead now, and you have stacks of cash hidden somewhere, and I'm going to get paid with that money too, because it's your fault partly that my husband's gone, even though it was probably partly her fault too, because I do think that she knew what was going on.
So, I definitely think something's up with her, and that could what smells funky about it. I'm definitely feeling what you're saying. So Howard shows up.
She's a Jimmy.
Yeah, in a way, and that could be what this show is all about, essentially. Con people and reality versus fiction of what we show people and how to get people to do what you want, all that sort of stuff. So Howard shows up in our next scene with a bottle of scotch. He eventually Chuck eventually lets him in. Howard wants to celebrate the sentence, not as a victory, but as a turning point. They raise a glass, and eventually Chuck kind of takes the drink, and he gets into it. You get the feeling that they hung out for a while, had a few drinks, because they walk out, and Big J was talking about this. Chuck goes, "Oh, are you okay to drive?" And yeah, he's like, "I'm fine. I'm great." And he leaves. And then Chuck downs his drink and runs into another room, takes out a battery, holds a battery in his hand, and doesn't feel anything. And he starts freaking out because he's not feeling anything, or he does feel anything. He's trying to figure it out. He's trying to play it all in his mind. As Joe was saying earlier, he's a very intelligent person. So now that Jimmy showed him this, and it's the second person that did something like this to him, he's starting to doubt himself.
It's also that sit down in conversation, and what was it? A 5,000, how many thousand?
Like a $4,000 bottle of scotch.
There's one reason for that. That's not just a sorry you got your ass kicked drink. That's I know you're not coming to you're not going to show your face at the office now that everybody knows how sick you are.
It's also a retirement trick. It's like giving Joe, you've been really great on the podcast. Here's this gold watch because you're really awesome.
You're done. You're done. You can't come back to the office now. You cannot come back. That was embarrassing. Unfortunately, it's wrong, but it is what it is, Chuck. And here's your drink, and this is probably going to be the last time we sit and drink together. So Chuck going over to the desk and pulling out that battery is him realizing that basically this illness, if it's not real, maybe there's something he can do about it. If it is real, maybe there's something he's got to do about it. But whatever the case is, he needs to at least go talk to that doctor, because he's lost his wife, he's lost his brother, he's lost his job. He's most likely going to end up losing his, law practice now.
Sam says Hamlin was shocked and how embarrassed Chuck made him in the hearing. Yeah, right. Hamlin was really horrified by that whole situation.
You're right. He was horrified that he himself was so embarrassed. Like, he's horrified at how embarrassed he is because of what's going on with Chuck. It's like, oh my God, I didn't think I could feel this way, and I feel disgusting at myself that I do feel this way. And
Chuck's my hero. Chuck's this. Chuck's that.
Right. Exactly. Like Hamlin's very conflicted about it. So but he needs to think about that practice and those other people that are working there and those other careers.
Yeah, he's trying to think in the PR of the practice and getting more clients and yada yada yada. Going back to your point about Mike's daughter-in-law, retired nurse says, "Me too. She's a B girl in the oldest sense." Randall says, "Great comments on Howard. I love how Howard has been written."
Right, me too.
End of the day, Howard is going to protect the best interest of the firm.
Correct.
He keeps hinting at that, and Howard's just one of those characters that, from the beginning, we talked about a lot more in season 1 because he's more of a factor and more central focus on him. But he brings so much to the show as well. A different dynamic, and his care for Chuck, his care for Jimmy, and his way of respect for Jimmy for the way he hustles, his training of Kim, and Kim being his main disciple. And he really put a lot of effort into training and making her the best lawyer she could. So he's probably in some point watching her do what she's doing, get some sense of pride in that as well. And it's so he has a lot of conflicting feelings, and I think the actor's playing them really well. in all his scenes with Chuck. In this, he's almost convincing himself as much as he's convincing Chuck with this booze. And this is his gold watch, his way of being like, here you go, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine.
You can't give him a gold watch. Like, what's he gonna do with it? Take the battery out and smash it with a hammer or something. You can't give him a watch.
Yeah, Claudio, last point on this guy. The actor does a good job of playing Howard. You can actually believe that guy's
absolutely. You can, yeah, the way he was jumping at that fence a couple episodes ago.
So, in the way that the notes are set up, that was the best scene in the entire season so far for me. That might go on my all-time favorite season moments.
I was dying. I was laughing my ass off.
Funniest thing ever.
The way he ran through the garden.
The jump was hilarious. Okay, so before we go on to the recap, we got a voicemail from a little while ago. So let's play this voicemail.
Okay, first of all,
Jay,
if the person was trying to say it's such a it's so hard to pick it because the choice is, it's like trying to pick between Godfather 1 and 2. Godfather 1 is the better movie. It has the best scene in a movie probably ever when the Godfather is being sworn in as Godfather to his nephew or niece or whatever, and is having everyone killed around
the Corleone shuffle at the end when Michael is talking. Yeah,
them. Okay, Godfather 1 is easily the best of the Godfather movies, and Godfather 3 is easily the worst, making it not the best trilogy of all time because, God, that's an awful third movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's the worst. It's It's one of the worst movies in the history of movie filmmaking, as far as I'm concerned.
Great to hear.
Dog shit.
It was dog shit.
I can't believe Andy Garcia had a career after that movie. Honestly, I'm like, wow.
In an alternate reality, would have made a difference if Winona Ryder was in that movie instead of Sofia Coppola?
No, it wouldn't have made a difference. The movie was still dog shit. A fucking 45-minute opera, fucking murder, kill the priest. Oh my God. Just tear my fucking eyes out.
Joe, I think
it's worse than Birdman, dude.
Joe, do I have to add to the wheel review of Godfather 3? I
just gave it. I just gave it dog shit.
Dog shit. But
Two thumbs in dog shit.
I think we need to start doing some of those kind of videos. I'm writing it down. We need to do Joe 1-minute reviews or 30-second reviews. I'm writing it down. I'm now going to start writing down notes.
Joe will review any movie in 30 seconds or less.
Joe 2-second reviews. Okay, this will be a new feature coming soon on the channel. Joe 30-second reviews. It will change depending on how many seconds the review is.
Depending on how angry the movie made me. On TV.
Officially a new segment on the show. Okay, so the way the notes are here, it just continues the Chuck storyline. So let's continue this. Chuck removes the batteries from the tape recorder and holds it in one hand. He's daring himself to keep touching it. And then we start this therapy that we eventually see him running down the streets of Albuquerque with psychedelic lights, wearing a Mylar blanket like Little Red Riding Hood. And he eventually get really well shot scene. I love how they visualize all of Chuck's disorder. And then we eventually gets to be at a payphone and he calls to talk to Dr. Laura Cruz, which Joe mentioned earlier we've heard from. And I'll talk about her again at the end briefly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the same doctor from season 1, but.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. So Iron says, this fall in the issues program, Joe, 2-second reviews.
Joe's 2 review.
Okay, Joe, what's a review of Birdman?
Oh my God. Did I just give that as my summation? The second worst movie of all time? Or the movie that Godfather 3 is surprisingly worse than?
I think you're wrong, but it doesn't matter.
This interesting thing. Zach Galifianakis does a great job. It's one of his best roles.
Okay. We don't have to get
with the one long shot is fantastic, but the writing, the fucking stupid ass Ed Norton, that girl that's in absolutely every fucking movie, no matter what, just throw her fucking stupid ass in it. She's capable sometimes, but is the same character and everything. And then that stupid fucking ending, look up Dude, he's smashed on the ground. Look down. Look at your father who jumped out a fucking window, and look at his dead fucking body, girl. Because that's where he is.
Joe's 30-second reviews. Okay, this
I wanted to walk out of that movie twice. I almost got up and walked out. It was so fucking bad. It's like the only movie I wanted to get up and walk out on in the last 20 years. Oh, fucking dog shit.
Fuck. It was clear that the third Godfather was made for the money. Coppola even admitted it much in the documentary. Gritch says Godfather 3 was a classic. It's right up there with Planet 9 from Outer Space. So look forward to that in the fall.
See, Claudio agrees.
Joe's 30. Haha, Joe nailed it. Yep, Joe, that's the first one. That's a little preview to what's to come later.
Never see it, Sam. Never see it.
So, and the next
Save
day,
yourself the time.
The next day, back at Wexler McGill, Jimmy is getting ready, is talking to Fish before it gets soggy. Francesca, it's time to go, and we get another one of these classic, which is just becoming a part of Better Call Saul in the way that the montage with the Katie Seagal montage became part of SOA. We're getting these little clips of shit getting done to some quirky music with some fun editing tricks, almost just as a way of them saying to the editing team, you guys have some fun. Have some fun. Just have some fun here. And that's what it comes off of. I love these. They're really fun. I look forward to them in the episodes now. Last year is where we got the one with the auto dealership with the balloon thing. The Kim one where she was calling all the places earlier in the season. It's been a bunch this season, and I like these little segments. The little montage things. They're connect to Breaking Bad, where we got the cooking meth scenes, where it's a quick piece of music with action happening. It's the Gilligan Chronicles trait. So Sam, Birdman's great. Don't listen to Joe. Watch it.
No, Birdman is not. And Ed Norton is a great actor, and Michael Keaton is a great actor. And for all you feminists out there, I think this movie has not one scene that doesn't involve a man in it, or it only has one scene, and that is two women talking about a man. So there you go.
Okay, so Joe, that's why Joe doesn't like it.
That's why I don't like it. That's just a fun fact. That's just a fun fact. That's like it's one camera shot. That's also another fun fact.
Oh, fuck your fun fact. So we'll continue with Joe's amazing hate of Birdman. Or fucking sorrow, fucking
Everything I say is the truth about it. Everything I say is the truth, though. I mean. The fact that it's a bad movie, that's an opinion, but it's still the truth.
Shut the fuck up, Joe.
So anyways, so we have another, let's get back to something we agree on. So we got an amazing fucking moment here. And Saul talks about the Calico, and we get him on the phone with a bunch of fun conversations. Anytime you can get Bob Odenkirk to do kind of quick improv stuff where you can tell they just basically said, Bob, be Bob Odenkirk for a second. Do your thing here. And he just when did you learn so much about lawyering? Yes, this is Jimmy from TV. Oh, you're awesome. You're awesome. And through this whole situation, he realizes that his ad's about to run on television. And the Gimme Jimmy commercial will constitute a violation of the suspension if they run. And when he tries to pull the ad, it's not painless. He ends up having to shell out $4,000 worth for 9 airings. Joe's amazing hate rants. This is something that was evident throughout the series by lights and sounds, and Chuck's scenes truly make you feel uncomfortable through all the pain. I was legit cringing. And I think Joe's 30-second reviews needs to be Birdman.
I think I just did Birdman and The Godfather.
Yeah, I'll cut it out of here, and I'll do a little quick edit.
Oh, some editing room magic.
I'll do some editing magic for you, Joe.
Is this going to be the magic that competes with the Star Wipes?
This might be our Star Wipes. We can put a bunch of Star Wipes for no particular reason.
Yeah, just wipe. It's just my face. Wipe.
Coming this fall, Joe gets a star. Ass what?
There'll be 30-second Joe rants reviews marked with 30 Star Wipes, one every second.
Yes. I'm not writing that down, but okay. So we So it basically takes him a few seconds. Kim wants to. This is where we get the scene that Kim wants to fire Francesca and move out of the practice. Oh, we're still going to be in a practice, just not the same office. A year from now, I'll totally get back together with you. That's totally happening. Yeah, fuck you. And but
Princess Bride.
But ultimately in this, Jimmy, Joe's favorite movie of all time is The Princess Bride. So Jimmy figures out or comes to him that I got an idea. I can just sell this commercial, the ad space, or I can't sell it, or he can't sell the ad space, but he can shoot commercials. He can put on anything he wants because he can't actually sell the time to anybody. It's in his contract. It's in his shitty contract, and Kim won't look at it and help him out anymore.
Right, but he can give them new commercials to run.
Right, for other companies. So we got to a scene with him going door.
Well, it maybe right. He can do it for other companies because it doesn't say that they're just maybe subsidiaries of what he's doing, but
right,
it's his commercials, his
productions. Yeah, it ultimately becomes Saul Goodman Productions that he can put on these commercials for other people. So he starts trying to go door to door. We get a fun scene with him trying to sell them. They're like, yeah, we'll buy an ad from you, but next week. And he not himself. He tries to get one of his little crew people suggests to him, why not make a commercial for selling commercials? And
right. If you need to find people, and you might as well burn at least one day, 1 week.
Yep. And he also knows that I know how to make that kind of business. It's like when you do what you know how to do, he knows how to be successful by having commercials and doing hype commercials to spin business, to get phone calls. He just knows how to do that. It's like, I know how to do that. You need me to get some commercials.
He can sell. He can sell. He can be, he can do ShamWow or, slap chop. Put your nuts in there. Slap chop your nuts into a nice, fine paste.
30 seconds.
I can't do it, but he can.
The goat. That is a good one. That's a good suggestion too. But let's see. Star Wipes would be awesome. Star Wipes would be awesome. And to spread the word, we get Sorry, I'm writing something out. So he decides to make a lawyer commercial that he wants to sell being a lawyer. So they stop at the television, whatever the television place that has the antennas, all the antennas and shit. And he starts to try to get one of his little theater people or one of his crew people to read the copy. He's like, I can't do it myself. I'm Jimmy McGill, trusted lawyer.
I can't write.
I can't just do this thing. And he starts
ruin the brand with this. I can't ruin that brand.
Exactly. So she can't do it. She reads the line. He's like, oh, that's horrible.
She's just as bad. They're all awful.
And he doesn't even ask the cameraman. He's like, fuck you. I don't even ask the cameraman. And so let's jump to the live fucking chat for a second here. And, Saul Goodman is alive. Yeah, for the Boris Karloff reference. Claudia says, I'm glad someone else get that. The only reason I get those kind of comments is thanks to James Rolfe, the angry video game nerd, and his like Monster Madness kind of stuff. SM says, Princess Bride is one of the greatest movies of all time. Good choice, Joe. Retired Nurse says, Kim truly cares about Jimmy and probably already will. But again, I think Jimmy has become a friend with benefits to her to some extent.
Sam agrees too.
Bill says it was also awesome seeing Crazy 8 getting tuned up a little bit, getting his ass kicked. Yeah, nothing can ever go good for that guy. So he makes the commercials and so he says the Karloff thing. So he has to put on a really cheesy beard and get himself all made up and stuff to do lo-fi production. And we cut away from that for a second. So then we go over to Gus and Hector's men, and he's there with Nacho. We see the delivery of the cocaine, these big blocks of cocaine. It's almost a big crazy.
Where they're hidden in the truck and everything.
They're hidden in the truck. We see that all get taken out. And then we see Nacho go to pick them up. And he's like, is all these weigh the same? They're like, yeah, it all weigh the same. Just grab one of these.
Grab your 5, whatever.
Grab your 5. But he grabs 6. And he's
guns
like,
are pulled. Real quick.
Yeah, it gets all tense for a second here. But one of the guys calls Gus, who just says, let him take 6, whatever. I'm slow potatoes on that situation. And he's in industrial laundry where one day Walt and Jesse will have their super lab.
And see, this is one of the things that pisses Nacho off here. This is Hector doesn't. Not only does Hector say, I want in on your dad's business. I'm gonna get your dad. Your dad is now gonna be culpable in this fucking drug trafficking." But he then sends Nacho in to be maybe killed. What if these guys do kill him, trying to take an extra kilo? That wasn't the deal. That's not what he was there to pick up. This is off the cuff, you know. Nacho's not Hector.
Yeah, it just showed how Hector is just being blinded by this. I want to fuck with this guy. Oh, how'd they act when you did that? Did they shit their pants? Were they really angry about that?
Yeah, they almost shot me. They put a gun to my head, Hector, and Hector doesn't care. Hector doesn't give two shits.
Whatever. And then that other dude's like,
they gave it to you, right?
Yeah. The other guy's like, yeah, no big deal. No big deal. Yeah, it wasn't any big deal or anything. So we also, in this scene, this is where we see Lydia. We see Gus walking around the park that eventually becomes the Breaking Bad place, the laundry facility, industrial park place. And then he gets into a car where Lydia's sitting in there working for Madrigal, the first time we've seen her since, Breaking Bad Felina, when she was poisoned by the ricin, or the racin, whatever it was.
Oh, I was just thinking. I'm sorry. I was spaced out during what you were saying. I was still thinking about Nacho.
What were you saying? Yeah, we're gonna get back to that.
Part of the reason why he's doing this to Nacho is because he makes reference to it in this episode as well, with his nephew that's in jail and broke somebody's jaw and won't be getting out.
Yeah, this here at the end, and finally we get a hint to what might happen to Hector. Hector tells Nacho that he intends to use his father's upholstery business as a front to transporting drugs. The conversation that they're having about everything that happened with the Gus situation is interrupted by a phone call, and it's Tuco. Tuco's still in prison. He attacked a guard, and he's not getting out for a while. Hector freaks the fuck out, clutches his chest, fumbles with pills on the ground, and drops one. Nacho kind of looks and sees the corner, and he eventually takes his pills, but one is left on the ground, and Nacho
wants to know what it is. He doesn't crush it, but he knows it's something good that he needs to find out what it is. Something's going down. This guy could drop dead any minute. He doesn't care about me. He doesn't care about the business. His son's still in jail. He's trying to muscle my dad out. He could drop dead any minute. What if I replace some of his pills with other shit? Could that kill him? Is this something that could kill him, or just make him uncomfortable for a while, where he finds out and then kills me?
Randall has a comment in the chat. I don't think about that. Nacho is very intelligent. Nacho would think about Hector's moves as being unnecessary.
Correct.
Bill the Bull Gates says, damn, if Hector finds out the Nacho setup, Tuco's going to have the cousins up his ass. Sam says, how is he related to Hector? He's his nephew. Yeah, he's his nephew. And Kiki Mac, great name. Gus knows that Nacho will be of use to him eventually. And I think we saw that in the sense, the way he looked at Nacho. And I think we're going to see probably in the next episode or the episode after that, a meeting between Nacho and Gus. I think that's coming very soon. And he's going to give him an out on the Hector situation and give him more of, because we know from last season with fucking with Mike, Nacho's wanted out for a long time. And now Hector's pushing his final buttons. He's crossing over to his family.
Tuco was dangerous. Tuco was fucking shit up. Tuco was putting him in danger, was bringing shit around the leather business too. That's how Mike got there, kind of. I think. Maybe
Bro,
not, but
Bro, oh, sorry, Joe. Bro says pill equals wheelchair Hector. So do you think that Nacho might use that pill to somehow induce a stroke on Hector somehow, or poison him somehow to cause him that get something from Gus to fake that's going to look like that pill?
I think he just wants to know what it is that's going on, to see if maybe if there's anything he can do to help this along. Put extra salt in his food or some shit. Maybe change out the pills. Who knows? But he wants to know what the pill is for. Before you go change out his pills, what if it's just for fucking indigestion? What if it's some weird fucking what if it's? Yeah,
could he pause him? Could he like Ryan O'Reilly and Adebisi feeding Nino Schibetta a glass? Could he put something poison in the pill? Could he?
Right. Maybe one of those things is an option, but I don't think it was nitro for angina or heart attack kind of shit. Those are really small. That was a fucking big capsule.
Yeah.
and put the nitro under your tongue, so that's an acute medicine. It wasn't fucking diabetic medicine. That's like, it wasn't showing what kind of symptoms that would display for having an acute attack. It wasn't some sort of fucking asthma medication. That wasn't the acute attack. But as far as what it is and what kind of acute attack he was having at the moment, I would like to know. So let's
Claudio
take that
says
pill and find out what it's for.
Yeah, Claudio says, I don't like a pill theory to leading to the stroke. It's kind of cheap. Randall
Yeah,
says, for all we know, Nacho may take over Hector's stuff if Hector goes down. Dennis says, the worst movie of all time is The Talented Mr. Ripley. Hot ass garbage. One True David, great to see you in there. Bill the Bull Gates says, I would love to fill Lydia with something else. Bill the Bull Gates. Fucking great stuff in the live chat as always. Okay, so to continue to kind of finish off this episode, we back at Jimmy's place. The phone is ringing off the hook. Turns out making commercial for commercials was a stroke of genius. Kim wants to see what all the fuss is about. He's like, oh, what? He's like, I got so much business. I know how to do this. I know how to turn business. And Jimmy initially is uncharacteristically reluctant, embarrassed. This is where we kind of find that Kim hasn't been home for a few nights. And he's like, oh, you're here. Oh my God. He's like, oh no, we don't have to watch that. Let's just go to bed, right? Let's go to bed. And she's like, no, I'm here to get clothes, whatever. And she sits down. You want a beer? They sit down and watch, and they watch the commercial. And he's got the whole Karloff beard thing going on. It's the whole big setup, and he is Saul.
Hi, I'm Saul Goodman, and do you need your commercial made? Come on down, give me a call. And
there's even at one point in the commercial, he says something like, "You better call something." It's not Better Call Saul, but he says like "better call something" in the commercial to kind of see how it eventually leads to the catchphrase of Better Call Saul. And he kind of has that rhythm about him. It's not quite full Saul. It's a different character altogether using the Saul name. And they get out of the commercial, and she's like, "Whoa, that was something, wasn't that?" And he goes,
"Yeah." Turned around a little bit, it seemed to me.
I think she was just surprised. Like, that character has a lot of energy.
You made that in today? You did that?
30 seconds? How you made that in what? What'd you do?
Look at all those the star wipes. You like that? I've never seen so many. Set a record.
A record for star wipes, and it's fucking crazy. And so I'm going to turn around and make commercials. So that's what he's going to do. And he's like, "What's with the Saul Goodman thing?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's just a name.
Just a name.
Saul Goodman."
Huh.
And she's like, "Huh."
I like it.
She almost had that kind of feeling. Oh, I kind of like it.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and that's the end of our episode of Better Call Saul.
I don't want to wait another week.
So, oh God, it's going to be difficult here.
Oh, because it's a holiday.
I don't know. I think there's an episode.
No, they don't play episodes on holidays.
This week isn't a holiday. It's the following week that's a holiday.
Oh, okay.
So, and I have to check on that. I actually have to check on that. But before we're done here, let's get the Den of Geeks Easter egg list. Now, Crazy 8 makes another appearance in Better Call Saul after showing up in season 2 episode Gloves Off. Crazy 8 is wearing a shirt called Tapinko Furniture, the same store that he tells Walt that he worked at in Breaking Bad season 1 episode 3, The Bag in the River. Crazy 8's family owns the store, and he and Walt sing the jingle for their infomercial. Later, that is where Walt buys Walt Jr.'s crib. Crazy 8 is short on his payments because of a new kid has an issue with some police. Could he possibly be talking about Jesse?
Yes.
Joe, you say yes?
I say it's either Jesse or Gopher, Badger, whatever their name is, or that other crackhead looking guy that was heavily involved in the late seasons.
Oh, thank you, Iron. While we're reading some of these comments, if anyone wants to get in some last minute voicemail, 781-990-8509. If anyone wants to do some quick wikiing to tell us if there's an episode on the 29th, I'm very curious about that. If not, I'll do it after the show.
I'm pretty sure it is Jesse that he's going to be talking about, because at this point, Jesse would be pretty early in his career as a drug addict. And at this point, he would be kind of trusted a little bit by this guy. Maybe he's clean-cut kid from the suburbs that
it could be
a lot of.
It also could be Skinny Pete or
right, Skinny Pete.
Could be Skinny Pete too, as Sam said in the live chat. So what's the deal with Nacho sewing straight through his hand and not reacting to it? According to the interview with the actor, I think it's some part of himself that's still human. In that scene, he realizes that he's not feeling pain anymore. So anyways, Rebecca arrives at Chuck's house in Albuquerque, the Albuquerque taxi company. It's a real taxi company in Albuquerque. Well, there was a cab company. They did close 2 months ago. Stacy asks Mike if he'll help build a playground for the church. Perhaps it ends with him being at the same playground that Mike leaves Kaylee at. The DEA comes from Breaking Bad. And I also wanted to say, if anyone in the live motherfucking chat can look up right now, the Saul, or Joe, if you could do this, the Saul Goodman hotline from this episode last night. Like, look up a picture from the episode so they say the number so we can call it here at the end of the show. Rebecca arrives at Chuck's house. Stacy asks if he'll build a playground for the church. Perhaps it ends with the same playground that Mike leaves Kaylee at with the DEA. The bottle of the Howard brings over Chuck is a 1966 Macallan, a single malt whiskey from Scotland that retails at $3,687. One of Jimmy's clients actually piloted the B-29 aircraft Fifi from the episode of the same name. Speaking of Fifi, Jimmy reunites with his commercial game from that episode. Crack open your magic bag. We'll have a Karloff thing. Jimmy tells the makeup artist he's referring to Frankenstein, the actor Boris Karloff, who routinely played Frankenstein monster and other creatures under heavy makeup. Gus inspected the industrial laundromat that is eventually Walter White's super lab. Laura Frazier returns to Vince Gilligan's world as Lydia in her first appearance in Breaking Bad since the finale. On Chuck's night walk, we can spot the Chemo Theater, one of Albuquerque's most recognizable landmarks. Chuck makes a call to Dr. Cruz, who treated him in the episode Alpine Shepherd Boy and Click, as Joe was saying earlier. Jimmy warns as a potential client not to wear stripes for his commercial because of the Moore effect. Google defines it as a visual perception that occurs when viewing a set of lines or dots that is superimposed on another set of lines and dots where the set differs in relative size, angle, or spacing. Wiki clarifies the problem with TV, saying that more patterns are commonly seen in television screens because people wearing a shirt or jacket of particular weave patterns, such as hound tooth jacket. This is due to interlaced scannings in televisions and non-film cameras, referred to as zibbity zubbity zibbity zubbity from the zibbity zubbity zoo. Finally, we've all been waiting for Jimmy's first use of the name Saul Goodman. So, and that is that, Joe. Did you find the number by chance?
I got the commercial playing right now in front of me. Hold on a second.
Okay, we'll get to whenever you can tell me the number, I will make a call at that.
Okay, hold on.
I think it's real. I think it's real, Joe. So, best skinny Pete.
You're a triple threat.
Yes, he's so amazing.
That face, you're a star.
Face.
Wrap it all up in your natural charisma, and bam, you belong on TV.
You
Better watch
do.
out for autograph hounds and paparazzi.
Better watch out.
I can have you on the air tomorrow. You heard me right. Tomorrow. Famous Albuquerque. I can make you a TV star for a price you can
Low
afford. Call
prices.
me, Saul Goodman. The world needs to know about you.
505.
505. Yep.
842.
842.
5662.
5662. Here we go, Joe. Let's see what it says.
Call me now.
Here we go. It's called Saul Goodman. Calling Saul. Calling Saul. Come on, Saul. Answer for us, Saul. It still says calling. It says call failed because the line was busy. It's busy. Too many people are trying to call Saul.
Everybody's calling Saul.
We'll try to call Saul again next week. Saul Goodman. Give me that number one more time, Joe.
Okay, hold on. Here it comes.
Here it comes. So touch
505.
505.
842.
Wait 1 second. 505. Yeah. 842.
42. 5662.
62. Okay. Let me and I'm gonna copy and paste that. I want to copy that shit. Copy that shit and call that shit. Come on, Saul. Come on, better call us. So everyone, thank you so much for joining in on this week's show. Oh wait.
Oh.
Here we go.
Welcome. You've reached the offices of Saul Goodman Production. Sorry, we can't take your call right now. We're currently on location shooting a commercial for one of our many clients. You call this number because you're a forward thinker who's ready to reach out to thousands of potential customers. At Saul Goodman Productions, we're standing by to showcase your great service, your great product, and most of all, you. After the tone, leave your name and your number and get ready to be a star.
Nice.
Saul Goodman, we need your help. We need your help to make a commercial for the issues program for Phil the Issues Guy. Call in.
Look us up on YouTube.
Look us up on YouTube and call 781-990-8509. We really love Saul Goodman or anyone from the Saul Goodman team to be on our podcast and help us, help you, help us. We need Saul's help. We got to call Saul, Joe. We call Saul.
Please better call Saul us back.
Better call Saul us back. 781-990-8509. Get back to us, motherfuckers.
Awesome.
So on that note, let's listen. I think we got one more voicemail to play from Jay. So let's play this, and then we'll call it a show. Thank you everyone for tuning in this week for Better Call Saul, the recap. We love getting to talk to you guys, and here we go.
Hey, so I'm not sure how valid of a question this is because I only watched the last episode of Breaking Bad and never watched an episode of Better Call Saul. But how likely is it that if they get to like season 10 or season 11 or something and it becomes the last episode, will we see a scene at the very end where these lawyers meet that future drug dealer dude from Breaking Bad? All right, later.
I do think there's going to be some sort of transitional moment. I don't think it's going to be as obvious or on the nose as we see in like a Star Wars movie or something. But I do think there's going to be some moment where we see the last shot of Jimmy in this timeline will be some reference or some feel that we're heading into that point. The wonder I have, though, is I don't see this show going past 5 seasons. I think
6 the most.
I think next season will be most likely the last one, is what I'm guessing.
I hope not. Well, next season is season 4.
Yeah, and I have a feeling next season might be the last one.
Ooh, I'm hoping at least 5, maybe, hopefully. I'm hoping they can write it robust enough to last 6, but I do not want them to stretch this and to make it last. I want them to tell their story as it needs to be told and not try to continue just to continue the cash cow. Because that's when things start to suffer. That's when people's attentions, the writers and the showrunners, their attention will start to wane because their interest in it is only about the money and not about the art, not about the story that they're telling. So whatever they do, I hope it wraps up in its own naturally and organically. I hope it doesn't get cut short by a network, and I hope it doesn't run long, or I hope the network doesn't force them to run it long either.
Yeah, the one thing is worth mentioning that Better Call Saul has not officially been picked up yet for next season here. So right now I'm a little scared.
I get a feeling that no matter what, even if it's not picked up by at least AMC, Netflix will rip that up right away.
Right. I think we're at least getting
Amazon.
I think we're at least getting 4 seasons. I think Netflix hasn't necessarily announced it yet, but I do, unless Vince wants to end this season. Unless the story ends this season. Oh, and to answer your question,
it could wrap up this season. I kind of can see them headed that way, but I think they're going to want to pull it down. Hopefully, at least one more season.
I think they want to make it go as long as it feels natural.
Right.
So the vibe that I get in the Better Call Saul Insiders podcast is that they're starting to get to the end of the story. You know, they don't, and I say this every week, they don't want to make it go one second longer than it has to go.
There'll be at least one more season. Even if it doesn't get picked up, they're going to make the one more season either for Netflix or for someone's going to pick it up, because this season now is already too many episodes have gone by to wrap up the Gus, Mike, Saul storyline, to bring them all together, to get that kind of quick working. They're gonna bring it to that head this season and then let it all play out next season at least.
Yep. So to answer a couple questions, next week's episode is called Expanses on May 22nd. I'll be doing the recap of that, possibly with Joe, because I think Tuesdays might work for him. So I think because I'll be coming back, that Monday will be kind of a weird transitional day coming back from the weekend. Joe and I will probably be on around the same time on Tuesday at 2:00 to talk about this episode. Or if Joe can't make it, I'll be on around 2:00, and hopefully Joe will be able to join us. Then we have May 29th and June 5th, the episodes Slip and Fall. And the final episode of the season is called Lantern. Now, May 29th and June 5th, those 2 episodes, there probably will not be recaps. May 28th is Stephanie and I are getting married, and then we're leaving a couple days later or I think the next day to go to the Dominican Republic for a vacation. And then I will be back, I believe, on the 7th. So I think I'll be talking about those 2 episodes in the midweek time, probably with Joe. We'll come up with time to talk about those 2 episodes on the podcast. And then it's a week off for Joe, Monday, June 12th, right after that episode at 11:30 p.m., whenever it ends. We'll be doing the live recap on that evening. And then after that, Better Call Saul's done on June 12th. Joe and I are going to come back and do some American Gods stuff and also lead up for Game of Thrones. I kind of like doing American Gods as live watches, so maybe we'll have a live watch party where we watch the remainder of that season and catch up and talk about that, because a couple people want to see our reactions to a couple of episodes. So we'll be talking about that. And leading up to our beginning of Game of Thrones. So there'll be a couple weeks there where I'm a little bit on vacation. So I'll probably be doing a couple of handheld camera streams and shit like that. Just like, hey, everybody on vacation. Look at me sipping daiquiri or some shit like that. Look at Joe in a tuxedo. Hey, look at Joe in a tuxedo. Or, shit like that. But there'll be a little bit of a break got it going on. Critch is fucking with me again. I'm not. Fool me once, Critch. Shame on me. Fool me twice, motherfucker. Oh, did you hear Westworld got canceled? What? No. I think
it did, didn't it?
No, it did not. Fuck you. So on that, bastard. On that note, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. And if you enjoyed it, if you haven't already, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Share it with a friend. And thank you guys for all your support. We will be back next time for more fun and more babbling. You guys are awesome as always. Talk to you next time.
Peace.
Lost, Martin Brox, the post heads back at the top. See you there when the bruise is clear. I'm clearly better when it drops.
It's tough, Critch. My joke back to you is hurts me as much as it hurts you.